Hello, dear friends. My name is Andy, and I'm with the Toronto group. It's wonderful to see you again after the St. Louis Congress. It was a great experience for me. I felt like all the barriers between us are dissolving, and it's time for another lesson. We all feel still the high from the Congress. We still miss our friends and feel the need to be with them. So let's make use of that feeling in the lesson and think about everyone else that's watching the lesson with us. And I'm going to start with an article. This is going to be our intention for the lesson. It's from the book Shamari by Rabash. It's article 21, when one feels oneself in a state of ascent. When one feels oneself in a state of ascent, that he is high-spirited and he feels that he has no desire but only for spirituality, it is then good to dwell in the secrets of the Torah, to attain its internality. Even if one sees that although one exerts oneself to understand anything and still does not know anything, it's still worthwhile to dwell in the secrets of the Torah, even 100 times in a single thing. One should not despair, meaning say that it is useless since he does not understand anything. This is so for two reasons. When one studies some issues and yearns to understanding, that yearning is called a prayer. This is because a prayer is a lack, meaning that one is craving what he lacks, that the Creator will satisfy his desire. The extent of the prayer is measured by desire, since the thing that one needs most, the desire for it is greater. For according to the measure of the need, so is the measure of the earning. There is a rule that in the thing that one makes the most effort, the exertion increases the desire, and one wants to receive fulfillment for one's deficiency. Also, a desire is called a prayer, the work in the heart, since the merciful one wants the heart. It turns out that when one can give a true prayer because one studies the words of the Torah, the heart must be freed from other desires and give the mind the strength to be able to think and scrutinize. There is no desire in the heart. The mind cannot scrutinize, as our sages said. One always learns where one's heart desires. In order for one's prayer to be accepted, it must be a whole prayer. Hence, when scrutinizing in a whole measure, one educates from it a whole prayer, and then one's prayer can be accepted, because the Creator hears a prayer. But there is a condition. The prayer must be a whole prayer, and not have other things mixed in the middle of the prayer. The second reason for that is at the time, since one is separated from corporeality to some extent and is closer to the attribute of bestowal, the time is better suited to connect with the interior of the Torah, which appears to those who have equivalence with the Creator. This is because the Torah, the Creator, and Israel are one. However, when one is in state of self-reception, he belongs to the externality and not to the internality. Tony?
Thanks, Andy. So, the lesson today is a... Hello, everybody. I'm mostly thinking about what a huge change probably has happened for those of you who went to the Congress, who watched the Congress, and who heard about it afterwards on the forum. And it's a real thing. It's a palpable thing. And if you remember that in the first lesson that we gave, both Mike and I said you're going to be a different person at the end of this course, or at some point in this course, if you continue seriously with it, and also that it's extremely necessary to be able to see, to be with others, and be in the environment of a group in order for it to become really clear what the goal is, what it is we're working for, and so on. And from what happened at the Congress, which was really a wonderful party on one level, meaning it some very serious work on the other hand, in the work that was done with by the men, in the workshops, in the lessons, even in the singing and the dancing together. The focus was on unity, and really extraordinarily, something that I've never seen, that the women who went to this Congress were really internally prepared for it. There was a kind of an immediate connection of their lack in terms of spirituality, not the things that people normally worry and complain about and so on. And it was as though all the men and the women ran towards the goal with their arms open, like they were running to their father and mother, in a sense. This happened within hours, and it's something we've never seen before, when tremendous force from the women. And so we're all now in that state, that sort of heightened state of strength that comes from being with the group, really connected to the group. This is not something we do on our own, and it's once you taste it, it's not something you even want to try to do on your own. Although what happens is that it's like a gift, and we have to work to maintain that thing that we receive, that unity and that insight and the desire for only that. So along with the article that we're going to look at today, and we might look at two, but I doubt it because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and we want those questions. Andy is going to receive your questions, and he's going to announce them. And Andy, feel free also to add anything that you want as we do it. And Andy's here because this is really the truth. Let's show Andy, please. It's not about one instructor or one teacher, or it is about that connection in the group. And if there is anything that we have to give to each other, it's really the force of our connection with each other. And this is essentially what it is that we are both aimed at, and what it is that we need to give to the world. Is that connection on a really practical, real level. And it's not as though just being close to people is, that's all it is. It's something psychological. I'm close. I put my barriers are down. It's not it. We're not sort of doing a psychological workshop. It's that in that connection, that's where the Creator is revealed. That's where we begin to experience things in a very different way. That's attainment. Because when we start to work in it in order, not for ourselves, but in a sense to escape or bypass ourselves, as I heard some men speaking about in the workshop, that is really attainment. And it builds this desire for bestowal. That's why Andy read that first article as an intention, and we're going to go a little further with that in Samadhi 72. Confidence is the clothing for the light, because this is where we are right now, and this will help us be able to move forward. Also, so let's try to ask questions related to this, and then we will talk generally about anything that you might want to ask, especially since we've been through such a strong experience with each other. I think we have a question, Andy, already.
Yes, we have a question from Eneida from Venezuela. The question is, what is a perfect prayer?
Do you want to answer that?
Go ahead.
Okay. A prayer is a need, because the Creator does not listen to the words that we say, does not care about things that we utter. The nature is always looking at the lack within us? What is the deficit, the thing that we actually want most, the strongest desire that happens inside of us? Because the entire system is built to respond to that desire, and because it is actually always still. It's always just wanting to advance us towards complete fulfillment, which is actually the connection with its intention of giving. But if there's no desire for that, it can't give us that. So a perfect prayer would be a need towards something that is not mixed. It is perfectly aimed at one particular need, not many little needs that come up in our hearts for this, that, and the other thing, for thinking that I'm smart, for thinking that I have knowledge, for a little extra money so I can get whatever. It has to be a specific need, and this need has to be stronger than any other need, and that need must be the need to connect to the light, meaning the desire to have the desire to bestow. I only wish that I could even feel that I wanted to actually live my life in relation to the whole and not aimed at myself. When a person comes to a place where that is the strongest need, regardless of what they say or even what they think, if that happens inside of a person and they realize that it is so completely strong and that they themselves cannot do it, and it becomes like a love sickness towards that particular thing, that is a perfect prayer. There's nothing else in it, and it's only aimed at what the Creator wants to give us. So let's start the article, Confidence is the Clothing for the Light. Confidence is the clothing for the light called life. This is because there's a rule that there is no light without a kli, without a vessel. It follows that the light called light of life cannot clothe, but must dress in some kli. This is just what we were talking about with the perfect prayer. The light has no place for us to feel it at all unless there is a particular relationship to it. There has to be a need in relation to the light, because the light itself doesn't change. It's an essence. There's no way that we can know it except as we feel it within ourselves. So there has to be some place for it to be, and that place is in a need. And he's speaking here about a spiritual need, not desires for things of this world, but a desire to know the light and to attain the light. And it can't clothe except within a vessel, meaning it cannot be sensed at all except within us and except where it meets a desire that we have, a desire for feeling this. It's this principle. Where did that thingy go? Oh, here it is. Let's get rid of this. Go to the overhead camera, please. Switch. This is a need, and this exists within us. The light is abstract, and it can't be felt at all unless there is a place, a lack, and then it can be sensed. It's not that the light enters us, it's that there is a need in which there becomes a meeting place between a desire and its fulfillment. And this point here is called the clothing of the light within us. And we feel this thing as a particular quality or a sensation or whatever. We feel that in a particular way according to the combination of this permanent bestowal and this impermanent and changing quality of a particular desire. And at the meeting point here, this is what we call the clothing. Okay? This is what we call the clothing of the light. Switch the... It must dress in some kli. The kli where the light of life is clothed is usually called confidence. It means that he sees that he can do every difficult thing. So he's speaking here about a particular quality. It's a quality of above reason. It's a quality that is called bitachon, confidence. Maybe the English word is not the best possible word, but he describes it here. It means that he sees that he can do every difficult thing. There's no barrier, there's nothing standing in the way. There is the sensation of the complete interconnection, of the unity. And this is a dressing, a particular dressing in response to a desire to unite with the light. That is, a desire to unite everything in our existence. All of the so-called separate things that we normally perceive as separate, as having to be, that we have to perform some kind of calculation on it. Should I, shouldn't I, this person, that person. And as we can see in the Congress, we reach a place where we don't make that calculation. We drop that calculation and we move into something called confidence. Is there any questions?
Yes, Tony, there's a question from Carlos from New Jersey. He's asking, how about then the climax or the feeling during making love? I hope my question doesn't offend anybody. Can sex be considered a kind of prayer when it's done with extreme admiration and respect?
Well, the longing for union is that lack or that need is the prayer. Now, that's not a spiritual prayer. That is the most absolutely basic, fundamental human. It's not even a human desire. It's an animal desire, because it doesn't require the relationship of a large number of people. The environment is very small for the desire and fulfillment of that particular clothing. But can it be considered a prayer? Well, everything is a prayer. But we're speaking about a correct prayer and a whole prayer. So it is, but it's not a prayer for spirituality. And once somebody makes that connection with the desire to bestow and to connect on the spiritual level, then of course the sexual act, which is really emblematic of the entire process of life, on all levels actually, it's a branch of the whole process. Of course, it can be infused, imbued with that desire to share one and the same intention towards the other, and that's of course the delight actually in the love of that connection. That there is a delight that the person finds delight in your delight in them, and it is exactly the same thing as the guest and the host. So it could be, any action could be a spiritual action, even though we're receiving pleasure. But he's not speaking here of prayer or pleasure on that level. So let's go on. It means that he sees that he can do every difficult thing. Thus, the light is felt and recognized in the Kli of confidence. Why is it called the Kli of confidence? Why isn't it called the light of confidence? Because it is everything. The Creator and everything is only felt inside the creature, as the relationship, the way in which the person feels their world at any level of their development, every step of their development, is according to the changing condition within the creature. And so the vessel is within the desire of the creature. Because of that, one's life is measured by the measure of confidence that appears there. A person begins to sense through this quality of the light in the Kli, according to the answer to that particular desire, and it feels that one can a person measures through that light. They feel themselves with that, and they don't measure with their intellect. They don't actually measure. It's an interesting term that he uses here, because he's really exchanging the term measure for the term confidence. And he goes on, one can measure the magnitude of vitality in oneself according to the confidence in himself. That this quality, that he's bitachon, that he's calling, that he can do every difficult thing, that is the measure of a person's advancement. Does he mean that a person is a Superman? That all of a sudden he has superhuman powers? No, it means that the person sees that there is actually nothing standing in their way. That whereas in the past or just prior to this state, a person might feel that they're not capable of reaching this, or that the goal is not a real goal, or that there are things that a person should consider first before stepping forward into this above reason state. And the sense of connection overrides such things, makes them very small, and makes them not function as that thing that determines whether you call something worthwhile in life. So he's saying the vitality is measured, a person's life, their actual existence, moves from one in the physical existence, which is measured by all kinds of reasonable things, by their money, by their sex, by their power, by their knowledge, and they measure their connection to spiritual life by this quality of above reason. Andy?
We have 3 questions. One of them is, four now. Joseph from Dallas. He's asking, it looks like the clothing of the light requires a masach. Is that so? So, we cannot get confidence without a masach?
He's telling us here really about a quality that we should be aware of. He's not speaking in this article about what occurred prior to this. He's speaking about it as though we are already in that state, some kind of a spiritual attainment. And what that sensation in a sense is, he's giving us a hint here, a tip. And then the rest of the article goes on to tell us actually how you can use both ends now of your experience. The experience of being in a state of temporary attainment, which is sort of like Merson, because we don't just go boing, and then all of a sudden we're there. As we work in a kind of a spiral. It's an expanding spiral that goes higher and lower as we gain strength and our desire evolves. So there are points at which a person sort of leaps, in a sense, temporarily into a state like having a screen. It isn't actually, because when one attains the screen, it's a permanent state, right? But he's speaking at least about the quality of the light called confidence. And what was the second part of the question?
So we cannot get confidence without a masach?
Yes. No, we can get a taste of it, but we can't have it permanently. Another question?
Another question from Nancy from New York. She is asking, is this clothing the same one that is referred to about Adam and Eve? Thanks.
No, that's an interesting question. It's the opposite. In the story of Adam and Chava, it is actually the opposite meaning, that there is flesh over it's talking about the externality, that this clothing is the addition of the egoistic desire to their essential connection, which is not a conscious connection. It's like that first Bechina in the 4 faces of direct light. There's no awareness there. It's just the light inside the vessel totally. But in order for the development to move forward, for the breaking, for what's called the sin, so to speak, simply the breaking of the vessels, the mixing of the quality of bestowal and reception, so that there could be a conscious involvement, is speaking there about that level in which the quality of reception rather than bestowal starts to expand, and it means the opposite thing. Another question?
Another question from George from New Jersey. He's asking, so if I'm praying and unconsciously afraid of something, is this corrupting the prayer?
Well, George, I don't know. You can't pray. You can't pray. You can't take words and go, oh, I love you, my Creator, and I truly want to be with you, and then have some other thought about fear. That fear reflects an actual need. That's your real state. The fear is your prayer. The words that we say are nothing. They're just some kind of story that we tell ourselves. Do we have a problem?
I think my mic didn't work, but now it's okay.
You can hear it? So they didn't hear the question, right? Well, I think they can figure out the answer to the question from the answer. So, yeah, it's really the other way around. Another one?
Ricardo from the Philippines. He says, hello. Hello, Ricardo.
Hi, Ricardo.
How can a person know if he's in a state of ascent? Is it a feeling or strong urge enough to know that he is in a state of ascent? And how should one feel?
Let's go on with the article, because this is what Bala Salam is going to tell us. For that reason, one can see in oneself that as long as his level of vitality is high, the confidence shines on every single thing, and he sees nothing that can obstruct him with what he wants. This is because the light of life, which is a force from above, shines on him, and he can work with superhuman powers, since the upper light is not limited like corporal forces. So here's the description. This is what you were asking. He sees in himself that this vitality, or this level of life, spiritual life, is high, because the confidence that he feels shines on everything, every individual thing, that there is nothing separated from it in a person's feeling, that their own desire for connection to everything else brings with it the sense that no matter that the goal that they desire is being adhesion with the Creator, no matter how lofty it might have appeared prior to this, at this time, in this feeling called confidence, there is a complete connection of everything, and one feels carried towards that goal. There is nothing that can stand against it, because a person feels that force moving them. There is an interrelation between all the people in their environment, and the way of thinking that calculates things, that measures things to see whether or not it is reasonable to assume that a person could reach a lofty goal like that, completely falls by the wayside. And there is no big thing and no detail at all that seems to stand in the way of this goal at all for the person.
We have some questions, Tony, from our Spanish-speaking friends. A question from Mexico. Do we obtain bestowal through the 10 Sfirot?
The Sfirot they're either, depending on where we're looking at it, Kabbalah speaks about the worlds and the Sfirot either from above downward or from below upward. So, from above downward, you have, I'm not going to lay them out as they are on the tree. I'm just going to do them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? So we'll say that this, from above downward, this path, when we study that, these qualities, which are not laid out this way, but it doesn't matter for the sake of this explanation, it describes how we came from a state of wholeness to a state of separation in this world. That's what it describes. How we got here, and our whole inner world. So everything that we receive comes to us through these 10 Sephiroth, or these qualities of the Creator, but they're all completely hidden to us. Do we receive bestowal through the descent? No. We receive from above. But bestowal is something that we have to attain within us on the other side of the journey. This part where we begin to consciously want to know and feel these states, not as outside of us, but actually as within us. So rather than it being stacked one way or another, the creature begins to feel all 10 Sephiroth at each stage within itself. But this happens by working against our nature to rise back up, and through this work against the will to receive, we attain the lights that are in these as we rise. So, of course, we receive everything from above, but it happens not by some kind of like entities or some kind of transformers or something that sort of zap us with bestowal. Bestowal is something that is not within us, is not in the system at all. It is something that we create in the same way that the Creator created a creature and wanted to fill that creature with everything good. We do the same thing by working against our nature and creating a desire. Remember, a creature is a desire in order to do what the Creator does. And we then reveal all of those 10 Sephiroth that were hidden from us. And that means that we reveal the qualities of bestowal of the Creator within ourselves by our effort against our nature. So we reveal the Sephiroth and the worlds. And this is our work. Okay, so I'll go on. However, when the light of life leaves him, which is considered that he has descended from his previous level of vitality. This is important. When the light of life leaves him, which is considered, what does it mean when a light leaves? Is it like this mechanical thing where first there was the vessel and the arrow points down, and then suddenly, oh, now the arrow, something moves up in the vessel and then the arrow points out? What are these mechanisms? Do I really have a thing like that inside of me? Of course not. A person reaches something in their effort, in their work, say in all of the effort that a person put into coming to the Congress, or even worrying about going to the Congress, even if they didn't go, because you don't know, you can't judge from the outside what kind of effort was involved, either with going or with not going. A person, say, goes there, and they receive tremendous force from the group, and as a result of their effort in that direction, this light of some sort enters them. Oh, so they're carried. So that is the arrow pointing into the vessel. There's no vessel, there's no arrow. And then when the light leaves, they begin to be filled with another quality. This is a quality like the quality that they left. The quality prior to it, but on a higher, deeper, more let's call it a lower level, okay? So first they had a kind of an egoistic resistance, a doubt, an inability to feel and care for others, connect with them. And then they attained that in some way, in some measure. And we'll just call that confidence, because we don't know what each person feels. But we know that there was a commonality there in the Congress. So let's use that one. Then they leave. And at some point, they're in another environment, and the effects of that environment start to put pressure on them, and their own inner development of egoism grows. So now they have doubts that are more powerful. They have expanded will to receive, in a sense, and he describes how a person knows that they are now moving towards a new state and what they have to do. He says, and that's what it means that the arrow points out and it leaves the vessel. When the light of life leaves him, which is considered that he has descended from his previous level of vitality, then he becomes clever and inquisitive. He begins to calculate the profitability of everything. Is it worthwhile to do it or not? And he becomes temperate, not lively and sizzling as before he began to decline in his level of vitality. So that's strange, isn't it? He becomes clever and inquisitive. Well, we prize being clever. It's really important. That's how you get on in this world, no? You can figure things out. You can manipulate situations. You can sort of see them and get them to so that they pay off for you. This is bad. It indicates something here. He becomes temperate and not lively and sizzling as before. He began to decline in his level of vitality, because the description of vitality in life is a completely different order. It's a different dimension in a person. It has nothing to do with those things, but a person doesn't notice this. Is something related to the article?
There are few questions about feeling empty and lack of confidence. Paricella from Toronto says, I feel completely empty tonight during the lesson. I don't feel the quality. Why? And, yeah.
Because a person receives a new amount of will to receive. In other words, they're given a place in which to take the next step. This lack that happens after a filling, when the lights exit the vessel or the partsuf, that is called makom, or place. That emptiness is the appearance of a new light, the potential of a new light. It means that a person is progressing. Because when in this work, it's important to move as quickly as possible. A person has to know that this is the process. Don't become confused. This is our nature, and this is precisely what we need to work against. We need to work against this in Faith Above Reason. And he will go on to explain how we handle this. But it's a good sign. It's important, because you should wake up every day a completely new soul. And you actually do. And in the spiritual work, you'll find that you can be filled immensely, and then you can be, the next time, you won't understand anything. All of the perception that you had about it, gone. Why? Because the spiritual cognizance has expanded. It's in a state of potential where something new is going to enter us, a new light, a new quality. Now, it's important to remember, don't get confused about this. First of all, remember that that is the method. That's the thing that's the stumbling block on which all other paths fall. Because they all work in what's called the right line. I felt good. I felt connected. In my meditations, I saw this and I felt that. And now I don't feel anything. And I want it to come back. I want it to come back. That's work in the right line. Every spiritual path is like that, except Kabbalah, which works in the left and the right line in order to establish the middle. So we have to know that it's necessary to do this, and this is what we step on in order to rise. And the other thing, in order to keep us not confused, we must constantly return to that united desire that we felt. For instance, with the women, there was a united desire, a uniting of the lack. There was a support and a unity in that lack, and the desire for the male part of the soul, in your part, the male part of your soul, to make that completion and to make that unity. You saw what that was. You know what it feels like. You know what that's about. If you become confused at any point, two things you should do. You should think about that unity of lack. Think about that connection. Think about working together with the friends. It will keep you on the right course. And also you can read None Else Beside Him. But it's like, I remember somebody told me this trick when I was a kid, and I couldn't believe it. I felt like all of a sudden I had like the secret, and it was, how in a maze you could get easily lost. And then somebody told me all you have to do to get out of the maze is keep your right hand on the right wall. No matter where you go and no matter how it looks, just keep your hand on the right wall. It'll take you down blind alleys and everything. It might take you a little longer than somebody who lucks their way through it, but you will come out the other side of the maze. And that's the same thing with this. You have to return. You have to understand that there is a right and a left line, and you have to use both of them. And Oh, there was another one. Is fear the creator?
This probably answered Ismail's from Brazil's question. He said, when I feel emptiness and there are no thoughts, what happens with our duties in this world? And if everything is emptiness, but the answer covered this question too. There are two questions about fear. One of them from Joseph in Pennsylvania is fear of the creator a lack of confidence? And another question from Azucena from Bogota.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce that last week either.
I heard Hike saying it, and he said it beautifully.
Yeah.
Bogota. I'll ask him. Okay. The question from Azucena is fear a part of an ascent or a descent? So is fear part of an ascent or a descent? And then from Joseph, is fear of the creator a lack of confidence?
Well, in Kabbalah, fearing the creator means to be afraid to lose the quality of the creator, to be moved away from that quality of bestowal. It is not speaking about the psychological fear that somehow I will do wrong and the creator will smote me, you know. Being afraid of the action of the creator is part of concealment. And this is one article I thought we might be able to cover today as well. If not, then we'll do it next week. We'll deal with double concealment, single concealment, correction, and the love of the creator, the two revelations of the creator, which is our path and everything we can expect to go through. But the fear of the creator in Kabbalah simply means to be afraid to be separated from the creator. So if you have a fear of the creator, then it doesn't have really anything to do with confidence whatsoever. It's a state of, it's the opposite state. It's when a person is in their reason and tries to see this force in nature that we call the creator as though it were a person. You know, he will or he won't have mercy on me, as though the creator changes, but that force doesn't change. It's always advancing us past, to break out of each limited state that we're in, each shell that we put around our advancement. And it's like a chick hatching out of a shell over and over and over again. So when we are in a state where we are afraid of that, that means we are calculating in our reason, and that is not confidence. And he goes on to explain that. However, he says here, what happens is that a person becomes temperate, not lively. He begins to measure these things, and he becomes clever and inquisitive. But, however, one has not the wisdom to say that all of his cleverness and wit with which he now thinks of everything are because he lost the spirit of life he had then. Instead, he thinks that now he's become smart, not as he was before he'd lost the light of life. Rather, then he was reckless and careless. So a person begins to experience doubt. But it doesn't feel like doubt. They're certain, that was like, what was I thinking? And it came from, I don't know, it's like, whatever, I imagined it, or I did this to myself, or maybe it was, but I don't think it will anymore, and all of these stories that we tell ourselves. And a person finds themselves working again now within their reason. But they're not aware that they've fallen into this state. They're being manipulated, actually, by their will to receive on a new level. And it's done in such a tricky way that it seems very smart, very right, very sort of protective of a person's apparent best interest, even though they have nothing to do with the person's goal, with their desire to build this screen, for that everything should go according to their decision, that I will not receive for myself, that I will unite with all the desires of those that are like this desire straight for God, called Yashakel, Israel. And a person completely forgets it. They don't notice that they're in this new state. They look at their past state as reckless. However, he should know that all of the wisdom that he now acquired came to him because he lost the spirit of life that he had had before. Before, he measured all the acts with the light of life that the Creator gave him. But now that he is in decline, the evil inclination has the power to come to him with all their just arguments. Just arguments. We believe them. They make sense to us. And they're not, and the will to receive is not lying. It's telling the truth on its terms.
We have a question about the group, Tony. It's a question from Uzi. He's from Grand Junction in Colorado. He's asking, Tony, I feel like the group has become a bed for this prayer, desire. I mean, they give me a place to feel that need. They give my prayer a place of existence and direction. Is this point of desire through and for the group a form of spiritual prayer?
Yes, it is. It's that is the formation of a spiritual prayer, because the desire to experience that and to expand it, that's the prayer. And it's a prayer towards the correct thing. It's the connection with the group is a practical basis, as you said, a bed, a basis for determining whether you have a desire for the correct thing. That's the great advantage of that. Everything in the environment points a person to the correct target. And that target is spiritual. It is the same quality, the quality that unites the group, since it only comes together in order to achieve one particular desire. And since that desire is the desire which is one and the same thing as the Creator, then that is a real prayer. That is a spiritual prayer. Now, there's a matter of the strength of the prayer. The power of it has to evolve. What we experienced at the Congress is a beginning point, a recognition, so that a person knows what they should be aiming at. But take also from that the force of the group. It's not really up to a person to, and they can't grow that desire outside of that law, the law of nature that acts on behalf of everything. So the person has to desire to know, desire to be able to give that kind of support into the group, and to know and be willing to take that inspiration from the group, because we can't get it anywhere else. It has to really come from our connection to our friends. If we aim to become better and better at connecting to our friend, then it's inevitable that the friend will, that the force between us will reveal that the Creator. But a person has to put themselves in the position of seeing their friend as really great. And if that happens, then it's like the vessel and the light. Then you put yourself in the need of the friend, because we experience the friend as a teacher, as greater, as being able to fill us with that. That's not something we can do on our own. We see that in the friend, in their willingness to serve, to just take. I grabbed Andy as he came in. I said, Andy, please come do this thing. Just read and say whatever you want, and let's do this for the friends. He had no time to prepare anything, and it was without any calculation. Yes. And so this is a great thing. This is something that it's a correct action in relation to the group, and why it's done to inspire, to help. He did it to help me, to help the group, to help you. And the more that we desire to be able to make these actions without calculations, then that becomes the spiritual prayer for us. Anything else?
We have a lot of questions, Tony, actually. Maybe 15
Keep the
or
two.
so.
Keep the two together.
So, yeah, I wanted to do this because I really missed you from the Congress. I wanted to be with you, even if we're just on the screen. But I wanted us to feel that connection again and have a mini Congress in a lesson. There's a question from George in New Jersey. He's asking about confidence. Is it this confidence a matter of imagining that they already exist? I think he means the qualities that the article speaks of.
Well, he's speaking here. There's two answers to your question. That he's speaking here about an attainment and what it feels like when a person moves to a next step. Well, first of all, what an attainment feels like, and then what this is very general. He's not showing us something, really specific. He's showing us something about what it's like when we receive a light. There is a quality within the light that completely overcomes the level that we were at just prior to it. It shatters the doubt, the limitations of the past state. A person sees that he can do every difficult thing. And then there is another stage that we go through. So he's speaking about it in a general sense. But you're right that the only place where a person uses their imagination in the methodology of Kabbalah is in what they imagine the Creator to be at that next level. In other words, it will be the opposite of the thing that they are grappling with. If my ego is struck in a certain place on a certain issue, and I feel it, then one has to use their imagination of what this force of the soul could possibly be at this point. What is my next state? You have to use your imagination that way because you only know your past state. A person can never know the next one. So the only place where one would apply imagination is to how they see the Creator at the next level. And they work towards that as if. But here in the article, it's a correct way to work, but here in the article he's saying what happens to a person in the process.
Another question from Kevin in Racine, Wisconsin, I think. Are our feelings, mood, sensation, negative or positive, a measure of anything in the way of progress towards spirituality?
The negative sensations that we have are a concealment of the quality of the Creator, which only does good. So when we do this, we are actually we're negative towards the Creator. We condemn the Creator. When we're in a state called confidence, or when there is light, then we justify the Creator. It's even beyond justification of the Creator. But we see the justification of the Creator means that a person puts in effort and then sees that each act, no matter how it appeared, made me angry, gave me a mood, whatever, actually was good. So it indicates that we are in a place where we can work the mood, the negative feeling, and so on. This is precisely the place where a person can put in effort in order to make that next step, to try to use their imagination as to what the opposite of this really would be, and to work as if they don't feel negative, moody. It's like the Nike thing, just do it. You have to have a framework. You have to be connected to the group. You have to have a regular schedule of study, whatever works for you. And you have to have some dissemination work, something in which you're serving both the group and the world as a whole. And no matter how crappy you feel, and no matter how justified you think you are in the crappiness of your feeling, you just do it anyway. Doesn't mean you don't if there's something that you need to express, you express it. But you don't bring your friends down with it. You don't try to impose it, pour it on them. You don't expose your mood. Because if you do, then you lose your opportunity. And you mess up your friend. So if you keep it and you work with it, and you do it anyway, then that's where everything happens, because then you know that you're using both the left and the right line to come to the middle. This place which is not coerced either by your negative mood or by whatever uplift or attainment or awakening you received in the other line, but just by what you say that it is this commitment, this bond that you make, that it will not be for me, but it will be for the benefit of the whole. I will receive only in order to bestow. If you work towards that, then you will progress and take step after step. And then he goes on. So in the last paragraph he finished with, the evil inclination then has the power to come to him with all their just arguments. The counsel for it, in other words, here comes another tip, is that one should say that now he cannot speak to his body and argue with it. Rather he should say, now I'm dead, and I'm awaiting the revival of the dead, meaning I'm dead spiritually, and I can't act here. I can't make a spiritual action. Then he must begin to work above reason, meaning to say to his body, everything you say is true, and I have nothing rational to answer you. However, I hope that I will begin to work anew. Now I take upon myself Torah and mitzvot, and now I am becoming a proselyte. And our sages said, a proselyte who has converted is like a newborn infant. Now I await the salvation of the Creator. He will certainly help me, and I will come once more into the path of holiness. And when I have power in holiness, then I will have what to answer you. But in the meantime, I must go above reason, for I'm still without the mind of holiness. Hence, you can win with your intellect, and there's nothing that I can do but to believe in our sages who said that I should keep Torah and mitzvot with faith above reason. And I must certainly believe that by the power of faith, we will be helped from above. As our sages said, he who comes to purify is aided. What is he saying here? The counsel for it is that one should say now that he can't speak to his body and argue with it. If we engage with these, if we say, oh, this doesn't seem like it's working, and you have this negative feeling, and then you try to analyze what you feel and engage with it and try to win that argument within yourself about those things, you've immediately lost. A person immediately descends into that argument, and that becomes their definition of life. You can't win that argument because a person no longer has that light, but they have something else. They have an opportunity. And they have an opportunity for a complete prayer, a whole and perfect prayer at that level. Why? Because, as he says, the only thing that you can say within yourself to that doubt and that question is, I'm dead. Don't talk to me, I'm dead. I can't listen to you, I'm dead. Dead in what way? I'm dead spiritually. I'm down at your level, and I cannot argue with you, and I won't. I'm dead because there's nothing I can do here. I have no strength, I have no tools, I have nothing. I don't have the light. I'm dead, and I'm waiting for the resurrection of the dead. Meaning that all I can do now is to go above my reason, to do it anyway, to function as if what is happening is good, and here is my opportunity. In this darkness, I act as though I see light. I act as though I feel the goodness of it. Not that I have to argue with you. I understand that this thing within me comes in order to give me a place to grow and to expand. And then I have a place to work in such a complete way because I'm dead. So my need is complete. I wait completely upon the resurrection of my ability to receive anything in order to bestow. I can't do it. So therefore the desire that grows inside of me becomes greater and more and more and more complete and that's called effort. That's called effort above reason if I do it anyway. Until, as a result of the effort, those who come to purify are aided from above, the Zohar says, until that a person is eventually pulled there. That's how we know, first of all, that we've attained something. That's how we know not to be fooled in the first stages of a descent. And I'm not saying that anybody here is in a descent. I think that most people are probably in a kind of a... They're in the right line right now because of what's been revealed within them. But one needs to know that this is the process, because we have to take that gift that we received in the Congress or from the force in the group that's spread out with all of the students who are learning together, all the friends. We have to know how to proceed with it. We have to now begin to really work. When we do this, in addition to what we do in the work, in the connection with the group and so on, in the work and dissemination, all of these things that we do, this is the model of how we do corrections. And it adds our seed to the scale of merit, constantly justifying the actions of the Creator, reconnecting with the friends in a practical way in which the group continually clarifies this for us. And when you put the element of the advice, the books, the direction, the right group that comes, the direction that comes from the correct group, and the teacher, the guide, and you put all of these elements together, then you have an engine that works along exactly the same lines as the mechanism of nature, as the thought of creation. It's one and the same thing. You have everything you need to advance the group, yourself as a cell within that, in a joyful connection that is a new level of existence that supplies everything to everyone, and also to rise the whole world to that. You have then all the elements of the method. And these things need to become very real to us. We shouldn't be confused by the different states that we go through, and don't engage our ego when it comes whispering in our ear. There's no point. The only thing, it's our friend. It accompanies us at every step. Not so that it wins the argument, really, but so that it works against us. And if we could see the whole process from the end, we'd see that this so-called evil inclination, this will to receive, was our dearest friend that advanced us at every single step, didn't allow us to rest, wouldn't let us stand in the place where the crashing wave or the blow from above was coming, but moved us ahead constantly. But if we don't use all these elements in the method, then we're standing there when the tsunami hits, or when a person receives some kind of an inward blow. It's definitely preferable, all these inward blows, to the external crises. If we use all of these gifts that we're given within the group, then we can advance very quickly towards the correction and all the things that Rav spoke about at the Congress.
We have a few inspirational messages. One is for me personally, from Kara from California. She says, "Hi, Andy." Hi, Kara. "Smile, we are here for you. Thank you." And another one from Maiden in Philly. He says, "You guys, how can I go back down into a descent if you won't let me?" And related to the article, there's a question from Paul from Boise, Idaho. He says, "I feel exactly like you pointed out. Doubt. This is maybe imaginary, maybe crazy. But won't we not build a Kli? So how can the light leave? And leave from what?"
Won't we not build a Kli? Oh, won't we anyway build a Kli?
Won't we not build a Kli? Like, I think what he's saying is, do we really have a Kli so that the light can leave it? We've not built a Kli. We've not built a Kli yet. We don't have a Kli yet. How can the light leave? Leave from what?
Well, we do have a Kli. How revealed it is to a person, that depends on the the desire, the development, the quality of the work that the person puts forth. But you can consider let's say it's not revealed. A person feels that there is no Kli there. But what you're expressing in the question is really that you want that. So, say at that stage, say if a person has the desire that they want to reveal this spiritual vessel within them, and even beyond that, that they want to be able to feel that it exists as a mutual state between people. They want it. They want it. That wanting is the Kli. The desire is the Kli. And there are times at which, when you're reading, when you're together with your friends studying, or whatever you might be doing, where you do sense that. And there are times when your will to receive steps forward and wants to take you another step. Well, when you lose that connection, when you have that doubt, that is the light exiting your Kli. First of all, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have some baby Kli within you. And any inner process that you go through, this is what all of the technical work describes. It describes the stuff that goes on inside of us in relation to this process of unification. It tells us what we are made of, our emotions, our feelings, our sensations of spirituality. It only describes a whole system of vessels. So that's what we learn about.
Another question about this is from Georgie from Stamford. He says, Tony, aren't states of descent necessary because through them we create the vessel for the ascent to the next level? Why are we trying to avoid them? In fact, do we have any choice in this matter?
Well, we shouldn't try to avoid them. And we don't have any choice in the matter because they're actually sent for our advancement. And one of these things that a person can feel from their will to receive is an overriding desire to get rid of that state. And that's what they ask for, and that is already engaging with the argument of the will to receive. We don't have to ask for these things to be taken away. We need them. What we need to do is to escape from the concealment over the good divine intention behind that state being given to us. We should not avoid them. They are completely necessary. Otherwise, we would be still. Not like the light, but like some kind of a little desire that could never grow. So we should not run away from them. We can't avoid them. This is what why the group and why it's like the great Kabbalists have such tremendous power, because they're not afraid of anything, because they're not looking at those things, those events and those sensations that we have that are negative. In a sense, when a person really understands this, has gone through it a few times, you can already kind of rejoice in it. There's a song that we sang lots of times at the Congress. It's called, I forgot what the name of it is. Bore, come and see, right? What's the name of the tune?
Living in Unity?
Yeah, Living in Unity. And the verse goes, here comes another wave, don't give in, or we take another step, always up, because this is the process, and you can sing about it. At one point you lament about something, and then that lamentation becomes the core of a song, of like what they call, jubilation or rejoicing. The rejoicing comes because of that beautiful contrast, because the place where I cried from is now the place that I laugh from. If a person understands this process constantly goes on, then they can already rejoice when the necessity for the work appears in front of them.
We have a similar question that relates from Mariana from Mexico. She's asking, what can we do to keep the inspiration and sensation we had during the Congress?
You have to work. Find yourself a place in dissemination. Continue to study, and as I said, Rav has told us, you've got to keep to a framework. If you have a framework, no matter what state you're in, the framework will pull you out, the group will pull you out. You have to, if you want to be helped, you have to turn to the group in your desire. You have to turn to the goals of the group. You have to do some action towards it, and you have to contribute your desire in the study and in your lack and so on, unifying your lack amongst the women. Find ways of making that connection. That will, because it'll pass quickly. The whole point in going through one of these, the main directive, when someone is in a descent, is to do whatever it takes to ascend as quickly as possible. Don't beat yourself. Don't spend time thinking about how bad you are or how incapable you are. Rabash gave us some kind of a guideline about that. He says that you should be, for 30 minutes, you should be in that kind of a state of the negative self-analysis if you need to be, if you're pulled into it. The rest of the time, a person should be engaged in the adventure, outwardly, constantly working towards, against your nature and towards the light. If you do those things, you'll be fine.
And Joseph from Montreal, he is asking, what is quality over quantity in the work of attaining spiritual qualities?
A person can take a lot of actions. They can spend a lot of time studying, and they can get addicted to that, and then that becomes just an external action. I'm just using that as an example. It can be a lot of other things that a person can be engaged in. And then it becomes the same thing as becoming addicted to the external framework, say, of the physical commandments. Even though they're created by the Kabbalists, and even though the books are created by the Kabbalists, you can take a thing like that, and by thinking that it has something to do with the amount that you do, a person can become completely detached from the work entirely. Every change in spirituality is a change of quality. It is, and every step that we take is actually an opposite step to the one before it, meaning that it's the attainment in it, the sense of what a person sees as their world. What's revealed there is opposite to the state prior to it. It's like something that is refuse to the level above is treasure to the level below, because this desire to bestow becomes more and more and more refined, more and more complete, more lishma. So it's quality that has to change, and the path has to be made up of quality as well. If a person only has 15 minutes in the day, and we think of, men have to study all the time, but if you take, and they have to work on the technical aspects and all that, and women don't really need to do that because in terms of the technical stuff. Maybe there's a woman somewhere she's got 15 minutes, and the rest of the day she's completely responsible for her family. No one will give her a moment. She's also working with it. But in that 15 minutes, if that 15 minutes is filled with a complete giving towards that desire to make that connection, and that connection should be made by everybody else, and if she does some little thing in dissemination, the quality that she brings to that's the thing that makes the difference. If you come to the lesson for the right reason and with a real deep question and a deep desire, that quality enables the quality of desire enables that quality of light to enter. That's what makes the difference, not the amount you do. There's nothing in this work that has to do with quantity except in the dissemination work. We want to reach as many people as possible, etc., etc., so to help the world. But if you look at it, it isn't the quantity that's changing. What's actually happening is that there is a greater force of desire, the quality of desire applied to the sincerity, the unmixed intention for it to reach all of the uncorrected desires. That's really what we're dealing with.
And There's a more general question about the right and the left line. Patty from Massachusetts, I think. She's asking, can you explain more about the right, left, and middle lines? What do they mean?
I'm just going to speak about it very shortly, okay? Because it's something that we deal with in spirituality above Mahsam. But it's still an idea that we need to understand. The left line, say, is the below the barrier is our will to receive, the pressure that we feel from our egoistic attitude. The right line is that awakening that we feel, the sensation that we get of the quality of the Creator, or that we imagine, that we project, or that is given to us as a gift as we go along. Both of these things coerce us. They run us. We are either controlled from above, which is the right line, or we are controlled from below, which is the left line, and we're programmed in that way. Either it's all done by the Creator, who either is like showing us an awakening or controlling us through the system of egoism, of will to receive within us. The middle line is a place that is uncoerced, that is a decision. It's the screen, in a sense. It is the attainment of the screen that makes an intention, a quality. We determine a quality that is uncoerced. I will bestow. It is not for me. I receive only in order to bestow. There is nothing in the right line or the left line that would create such a thing. There is nothing in my nature that would create that. This is a decision on the part of the person to do what the Creator does in that quality. And that's called the middle line.
Thank you, Tony. And a question from Nico from Japan. Hi, Nico. You tell us there is a difference between the corporeal desires and the spiritual desires. Do our corporeal desires stand in the way of a true prayer for spirituality?
Once a person has the desire for spirituality awakened in them, when they're looking for something that does not exist, a fulfillment that does not exist in this world, when a person has reached that, their bodily desires, their egoistic desires, do not necessarily stand in their way. If the quality of their desire for unity, for the quality of the Creator, is the dominating desire, then it doesn't matter, because the other ones aren't running the show. It's just the desire for spirituality that determines what a person wants, how they'll proceed. They don't get in the way. And a person must have all of those desires. A person must be fully engaged in life at every level. So it's okay. All of those things are okay. It isn't the desire per se. It's the for whom. Who do I receive for? It doesn't matter that it's for family or for money or for power or for knowledge. That doesn't matter. What matters is for whom. And until a person feels that desire for the spiritual, they always aim those desires at themselves. But we're not speaking about people like that. We're speaking about people on the path. We're speaking about the convert. He says that a convert, like a proselyte. Now I take upon myself Torah and mitzvot. That means I have to do corrections. The corrections are, for whom do I receive? And now I become a proselyte. And as our sages said, a proselyte is he who has converted, is like a newborn infant. So you're already, the whole place in which a person works once this desire awakens in them is as though they were sort of born into a completely new way of being. So it doesn't have to stand in the way.
And a question from Monty from Washington. He's asking, other than the maintenance of faith during a descent, I think he means other than keeping faith during a descent, is there any portion of correction that depends upon us, such as recognizing what specifically needs to be corrected? Or are we just passive observer as the light makes the correction within us?
We can't observe and determine what needs to be corrected. What needs to be corrected is what we don't want to do at the next step. You know, and you can't analyze it. It's because this is a feeling, this is a quality. It has to do with our intention, our attitude. So you can't. It's an essence within us that we can't feel until the light puts a kind of starts working against that quality, that particular area of quality within us. The only thing that depends on us is our willingness to make that action. That's it. So there's nothing for us to determine in that. And but we're not passive. We're not passive observers. We are active in the sense that we want to be engaged with this process. We can look at the process, but we can't look into ourselves directly, and we can't look into the light directly. So the thing that we observe from the side is that we see ourselves in the process, but we don't apply our intellect to it. The discernment only comes with one quality against another. Do we have anything from our Spanish friends? I see there's like...
Yes, we have a number of questions from our Spanish friends. Could you please explain what are the kelim? Does it have to do with the desires of the soul?
Yes. A kli is a desire or a body. We use the word body to indicate a spiritual desire. Or we can use a body to indicate, let's say, a desire that's physical. Then we'll use the word kli, or vessel, to indicate a spiritual desire. And really, we are in a period of preparation here while we're learning. We're not dealing directly yet with spiritual desires. Spiritual desires are desires to either use after the Creator becomes revealed to us, that we have the desire either to use the Creator for our own benefit or to receive the light that the Creator gives us in order to bestow to the whole, to the Creator. Let's not lose sight of the fact that we're talking about a unity between people and not some kind of work between me and personally and the Creator. Okay, this happens in the work in the group, but Kabbalah describes not the period of preparation that we're in, but the work above the barrier in spirituality. It's speaking only about these desires to use spirituality for our own benefit. Those are the desires that need to be corrected.
And we have a question from Mexico. It's about the group. It says, when there is a great ego within the group, what can we do to handle it?
I don't think that's an accurate assessment. It's not that there's a great ego within the group. It's that the group, there's probably a great ego. The group has the wrong direction. Okay, it struggles. People struggle with one another over how something should be done, why, and so on, and they're working, trying to be correct, like it says here. That it's working with the will to receive, as it whispers. The group should take an example from the larger group. If you're speaking about them, like some particular grouping of people, they should stop looking at themselves, and they should make every attempt to connect as much as possible with the world Kli. They should ask for help from the larger group. And when they're given advice, they should take the advice. And don't think, well, we're not ready for this at that level. Maybe they do it this way, so on and so forth. People have to... Rav has told us there's no reason for there to be a physical group anywhere if what's going to happen is that they're going to grow their desire to dominate each other. They might as well just be connected individually to the virtual group. The group should get together. They should read the articles of Rabash about the importance of the group, and they should find ways to actually make that happen within the group. They have to reach that connection and love for each other, and they must stop trying to dominate each other with their ideas of what's correct and so on, and make every effort to do that. If you're in a situation like that, you have a very, very good opportunity, but you have to take that on seriously. So we're going to have to stop in a couple of minutes. Let's just get a couple of more questions. Is there another one? Are there any other from Mexico or from our Spanish?
Yes. Yes. Paloma from Mexico is asking, how can we know that we are really working with the quality of bestowal?
You can't know that now, but you can know that we can know that we're working in the right direction when we feel that we don't want to do it. And it has to be, what is it that we don't want to do? We don't want to connect with the group. We don't want to connect as women in correct relation to the male part of the group. We don't want to give, we don't want to work in dissemination. All of these things that we feel, that in which we go, no, it's not like that, then we know that we're working towards bestowal, and our attempt to work in that direction will build a true and a complete and a perfect prayer. And that's what we need to aim at. If this was just like any place else in the world where there were 15 different goals in a group, in a social group where people would dominate or this or that or the other thing, then you would never know where you are. But here, there's only one thing that we work towards, and there's only one thing we have to give to each other, and that is a correct connection to each other. A unity that can be felt as a quality throughout humanity. When we want to work towards that, we know that our connection to the group will bring this upper law that really is the law of nature within the group and therefore within us. You as an individual cannot know that you're working in bestowal at all. You must do it in connection. And that's our goal, and that's what we work towards. It's the path, and it's the goal, and it's the whole thing, and it must be united. So we're going to end the lesson here, because we got another lesson coming right up. And we thank you.
Thank you. Please post, if you have the questions that we didn't manage to get to, can you please post them to the forum, and we'll try to answer them there. We had a request, I think it was from Paul. He was from Colorado. He was saying, can we sing a song after the lesson? So I'm going to go set one up quickly.
Okay. Okay, so I'll answer another question while you get that set up, and let me know when it's there.
Yep.
Carlos from New Jersey. Hi, Carlos. He spelled my name the way he pronounced it, T-O-N-N-Y, Tony. Could you elaborate on what is the right attitude in marriage when sometimes we tend to see the mistakes in the other? I'm not Dr. Phil, so I don't know, but you got to stop thinking so much about yourself, Carlos. Carlos, wake up. If you don't treat your wife good, you ain't going to eat. I don't know. I have nothing really to say about that. I think that anything that you learn about the relationship within the group applies absolutely everywhere. And Egal is reminding me that you have to give your wife absolutely everything. Because she's there to help you with that. But as far as your attitude goes, listen, how many people want to give someone else everything? It's the same problem, isn't it? It's the same problem within the group and outside of the group. Lazar is asking, is there sin? Are the egoistic desires sinful? Does God punish us for our actions? You can only be responsible for something that you have control over, only when you have choice. Below the barrier and about our physical desires, we're completely run by an internal system. We don't even make choices on that level. So we are not punished for those things at all. And I hope for all of us that we begin to feel this quality of the Creator revealed to us, that there is no such thing as that everything is done for our own good. And now here comes Andy. And what song is it, Andy?
It's Yesharka.
Okay, good. So are we going to, is it going to go black and they're going to see something?
No, we're going to be on the screen.
Oh, good. Okay, so let's sing.
time for rest. My journey's just begun, it's all uphill. No finish line inside, I'm low on fuel. And I can't see the light to stop and pray for the strength to go on. My mind says stop, but my heart is strong. Suddenly, He is by my side, pushing me with His loving drive. He evokes this love I can't explain. And all I want is for Him to attain. Yashaken, it is the only way. Yashaken, let's turn this night into day. Yashaken, I'm not turning back. Yashaken, let's use this light to attack. We move on, the rain is coming down, the path is tough. If we hold each other up, it really slows us down. We're both so tired, He wants to turn around. We pray together for our strength to grow. Kabbalah, we're starting to bestow. Suddenly, they are by our side, pushing us with His loving drive. They evoke this love we can't explain. Now all we want is for them to attain. Yashaken, it is the only way. Yashaken, let's turn this night into day. Yashaken, I'm not turning back. Yashaken, let's use this light to attack.